Alright, time to get started on this project. I'm gonna pull, well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go in and replace the fuel crossover tube on the carburetor. Oh, that is actually the choke cable that I need to handle. Replace this on the carburetor because the O-rings are bad. So I'm gonna get you in here and show you how to get this all apart. Also gonna do check the valve clearances and a couple other things while I'm in here. I also got springs and stuff to put in. That'll probably be a separate video, but I'm gonna for sure get in, get the carb off, do the valve, check the valves, get that new O-ring in, get started on this. Just stick you guys here for now. Well, that didn't work apparently. How about there? There we go. Get all the plastics out of the way. So if we're working on the carb, you're definitely got to get this plastic out of the way. I gotta do front springs on this anyways, so I'm gonna probably pull the grack and the front plastics off as well. So if you're just here for the carb, you can skip that step. I'll put links in the description for like the tools and stuff that I've used, or the stuff that I bought anyways, in case anybody's interested. Battery's got to come out. I'm just seeing if this will fit. I am missing screws, so really I just got to get the battery out to get my plastics off. Otherwise there's a screw on each side on the front here, and then the ones that hold the battery in will be the ones you need to get out of the way. Which one did I have? This won't work. Actually, I need to. Might as well just take the battery posts off now. Actually, no, I don't need to. The battery will set out of the way if I remember right. I just need to get it out of the case here. If you got one of these magnetic trays, they're very handy. Actually, I just need that way enough to plastics out, and the battery can just lay back down in there. This is a sealed battery, so laying it down is not really a big deal. And then if I remember right, okay, these bolts got to come out. These clamps down here on the side cover, they got to come off to get this out of the way. And then also, pull the bottom off. I think that was a 13. No. Maybe it was a 10. I definitely don't want these coming out of there. Might as well get this out of the way too. 4 bolts on the inside. Supposed to be 4 bolts, I only got 3. I'm missing one over here. The shop that put this back together, and actually I think they're actually supposed to be these flathead type screws, but the shop that had worked on this thing prior didn't put things back where they were and lost screws, so this is what got put in here. They work. If it works, I'm not going to complain. At some point I want to find all the right screws though. And then there's one, I think there's just 2 on the outside. These are all 10 mil. And there's 4, I think they're 8 mils down in there on each side. I think they were 8 mils. They were. And then there's the front airbox. In front of the airbox is a snorkel. There's a tube that comes into the airbox. That's got a clamp on it. Apparently that ended up in a bad spot. It's right up on front. Let's see if I can. How that's rotated on your quad may vary. It might be in a really bad spot. This pops out of the way. And then this will come out now. Huh, where'd the clamp go for that? Oh well. Get down in here. Now it just kind of comes up off of the carburetors. And there's some small hoses, that drain hoses that come up here and tuck down. You can get them out of there. And then there's this back hose that I think goes back to the crankcase. It's a breather. That has to come off. There's supposed to be a clamp on there, but I don't know where that went. These front ones will just slide up and out, or they'll come off too, but that's okay. They just set down. Chuck that out of the way. So yeah, we're in there. Now the fun part is getting those clamps down in there loose. There's a clamp right down there. There's a screw. And if I remember right, the one for the other side faces out the other side of the four-wheeler, at least on mine. And if I remember right, I think I had to take this other side shield off. Yeah, I had to take this cover off. Sorry for the squeaking. I think this was just this screw here. There's a nut on the back side of that one. Which then, I think, yeah, I just moved it out of the way. There's a shield right here. Actually, I think if I remember right, see, yours might not be like this. Yours might actually have the clamps where they're both the other way. Or they might both be this way, I don't know. Mine happens to have one and the other. So there's this shield that's got to be moved to get a screwdriver to it. And then that just kind of can be dropped down enough to get to that. It's kind of a ways in there. Careful not to strip these out, because that would just be very unfortunate. That one should be loose enough. And this one's not too bad to get to. Now, if I remember right, just kind of, well, actually, I also got to take this, well, maybe I don't have to. Let's see here. fuel line out of the way. This clamp looks like a terrible idea. Oh, and what else did I have to do? That fuel line's off. Just trying to, oh yeah, there's a coolant line down here. It's the one that has the big filter on it. That has to come off on the bottom down here. Right up in here. That needs to come off. Because these carburetors do, well, they're heated by the antifreeze for in the winter. They'll drip a little bit. You can just tuck that off to the side. There's also a return line, which is right next to it on the front side. It goes back down into the cooling system, if I remember right. The clamps are kind of a pain. There we go. Gotta make sure I get them coolant lines up high enough, otherwise they drain a lot out. Okay, now, oh yeah, send the bottom drains. Now we can get it up. Ooh, that's not good for that. You gotta be careful of the throttle cable because that can kink easily. Get that off, and the cover will pop off. And then you do got to loosen the cable up there to get it off. Is it a 10 mil? It is a 10 mil. There. Now you can unhook that. And that cable's getting kind of bad there, so I think I'm going to see if I can get some shrink wrap on that, because I will replace the throttle cable, but for now I gotta make that do. It's still fine, but same with the choke cables. I got some, need to be replaced too, because I got one kink down here. Now on the choke there's a one screw on the bottom that holds this whole mount plate. You just get that undone, then you can pop them out. Try to get down in here. You got to kind of be a little bit careful. Dumping gas and everything out everywhere. which is fine. There, they just kind of pop out. Not even actually sure what holds them in there. No, do not drop that screw down there. Yeah, whatever you do, do not lose that screw down in the intake. I guess they're just kind of held in there by the fact that those are screwed to the bottom of the carb. And that's all that's to that. Now on this perfectly sterilized workbench that I have, we're going to take apart this carburetor again and replace the crossover tube, which is right here, with this brand new OEM one. And then I got a couple screws on this cover I'm going to replace. This one's stripped out. And there's a couple other ones that were kind of stripped. I'm going to replace them. I got new OEM screws for them as well. I did have another cover coming, but that's $50, $52. And I ordered it and it was back ordered, and I thought it took the already took the money out of my account, and it was just gonna ship when it came in, but apparently it was just gonna pay for it once it came in and then ship it, so I didn't have the money in my account at the time. So that's not coming, but this is working. I'll replace it another time, because next year I'm probably gonna do new cables for the throttle and choke. Some of them are getting kind of brittle. Basically every year I'm gonna try and do a little bit more work to this. Shouldn't have to really clean anything up, because I just had this off last year about this time. But I suppose while we're just sitting right here, I think I'll just put some of these screws in. Sitting on my creaky stool. Hopefully you guys can see what's going on here. Let's see, is that gonna work? Yep. Trying to keep it where you can see. Yeah, this screw was in there so good I had to cut a slot in it with a Dremel so I could get it out with a flathead. So now I got these brand new replacements. And make sure find the right one that fits it the best. And there's one or two other ones that are kind of iffy. I just bought a set of 4 of them because I couldn't remember. And this one and that one are kind of stripped, so we'll just replace them with new. So hopefully next time I take this off, I won't strip them out the rest of the way. If you're wondering what the part number is for that, these little carburetor screws for these covers, I'll put a link in the description in case anybody's looking for them. I mean, there's quite a few sites that list these parts for these, so it's not like they're super hard to find, but the aftermarket for these four-wheelers is really not there anymore, so you're pretty much stuck buying OEM parts. Like, I'd like to get new front struts, because these ones, they're not like shot, but they're definitely not like they're not as good as they could be. And the aftermarket for these four-wheelers died about 10 years ago. About the only thing aftermarket you can get for them anymore is like the CDI boxes and stuff like that. Although, I should see if the brute forces are brute forces still have a market for aftermarket, because I'm pretty sure the front suspension is the same as the brute forces up into the 20-teens. Because I don't think they really changed that design. And basically this Prairie is basically a brute force with just a solid rear axle. And I think they even had brute force. The 650s had an optional solid rear axle. It was either optional or standard at that time. Because from what I was reading, you can basically throw the plastics off a brute force right onto a Prairie. They basically just put the brute force plastics on and put a independent rear suspension in them. What I've gathered, that's not saying that's 100% accurate, but as far as this goes, we basically just got to split it, and 8mm to split the carb here and here. And the bolts, usually just come loose. It's just a really long hopefully you're staying in shot. I'm trying to keep you in shot here anyways. See if that's, there we go, that's a little better. Get these long screws out. Where did that go? Oh, I might have to back that out. Kind of just a tug sort of thing. Now there's this larger spring here that goes on this bolt, and then it sandwiches between that plate there. There's also this inner spring that goes in between there, and it holds to that butterfly. Goes on the back side in here, and this compresses on the front. I'm still more or less baffled as to where that nut went. Basically, you got all that. There's 3 tubes. There's a, I think this is a breather. This is the fuel crossover, and this is the coolant crossover. Anyways, we're replacing this. Everything looks good in there, no corrosion, so I'm just going to assume these O-rings were just a snug bit too small. Let me get the new one out here. Also, there's the part number on that if you're looking to do this. The part number straight from Kawasaki, I guess. I think that's on both sides, but let's take a look here. Oh yeah, that's a hair bit smaller on the O-ring. This one protrudes past the outer edge. This one's pretty much flush. So I'm betting this is going to have quite a bit snugger fit. Oh yeah, that's quite a big difference. So now the fun part of sandwiching this all back together. Now, I'll probably hang on to this. This is not a bad pipe, but the O-rings are too small, but I need to do a little research on that. Although this one lasted for damn near 20 years, I'm sure I shouldn't have to replace it anytime soon. Say that, I'll be doing it again tomorrow. Now it's just a matter of getting everything lined back up and fitting back in the holes. And also getting springs all back in there too, which that's where things get somewhat interesting. This one I think I could just smash back in there. Now this other one, it's kind of how did I do that? Thinking I'm gonna have to, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it. Okay, I think I remember now. kind of just got to get it set in there, and then you basically just got to ever so gently let it stand in there. Oops, I gotta get that. This is like the most pain in the ass jigsaw puzzle ever. Oh, no. Wasn't watching what I was doing either. There you are. Okay. Where was I? Losing my mind. Yeah, that was probably it. Okay. Get that spring in there. Stand this up on end. Get that spring on there. Trying to do it so everybody can kind of see it as well. I'm sure someone out there knows a better way to do this. I'm more or less the average Joe for this, so this kind of works out. And there, all sandwiched together. One spring is at the bottom, and the other spring is down in there between the flaps. Everything lined back up. Put the bolts in. Nothing, you know, when I first did this, I was kind of really concerned, but actually, messing with these carburetors is actually not as bad as I thought. That's why, if you watch the original video of me doing this, I actually fixed it after a shop had worked on it and didn't put most things back together. And that's why I took it to a shop, because I started taking it apart and then I got nervous about screwing it up. But then after they screwed it up, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to do it myself because I can't afford to take it to a shop again. And it's actually not that bad to work on these because it takes 10-15 minutes to get it all apart. I mean, I could have had it easily done all in the same night, an hour. It's just, I've had other things to do. So this has been broken up into many different nights, actually. Just working on this. But I've also done other things to the wheeler as well, so. And just kind of snug it down. There's probably a torque spec, but, you know, 1/4-inch ratchet and just some, it's probably good. Basically just make sure it stays together. And that should be it for that. Now I can tighten this back down to roughly where it was. Now, my understanding of how this works is basically it's only adjusting the rear carburetor. You know, if I eyeball, it's pretty close. That's looking pretty damn close. I mean, I'm kind of just looking at the opening edge of the lip, because where the butterflies tip out, they're just cracked just a hair, and then as you work it farther, it goes more. I'm just kind of looking at that gap and just kind of adjusting it by eyeball. I'll go back in with the vacuum gauge later and adjust them more, but I'm just kind of getting everything back in the ballpark.